Well, well, well. How are we doing today, grandbabies? I ever tell you about my ex-wife that I met in the academy? No. Huh. Well, sit back and pay attention, kiddos. It's a lot to unpack. It was the summer of 60? No, 62. I was about 22 years old, a spry young man on the prowl, a real later killer, if you will. Sometimes literally. I did a 5-year stint in the never jail from it, but we beat the charge eventually. Anyways, my ex-wife's name was Ronnie. Ronnie the Witch. Boy, she'd make your heart fall out your mouth, a breathtaking gal. She was a carrion royal princess, the daughter of Radagon and Queen Ramella. She was also known as the Lunar Princess. Had a couple of older brothers, gave me a good talking to. Her brother Radon told me if I ever heard her, he'd strap me to a meteorite, send me to the sky, and freeze me with the stars. Well, joke's on him. I left the bitch and kicked his ass. Come on, kiddos, nobody threatens Grandpappy. Her other brother, Rackard, was an interesting one, a big-ass snake-looking dude. Kept to himself, so I let him be. Anyways, Ronnie was what is known as a Empyrean, meaning she could potentially succeed Queen Marika and rule the lands between. She was granted a shadow, some would say a bodyguard nowadays. His name was Blyde, and he would be raised with Ronnie as her foster brother. They would go everywhere together, and were often accompanied by Iji, the blacksmith of the royal family. One day, her mother led her to the dark moon, a very powerful spell which she would hold. And then, of course, she got all Hansel and Gretel and felt like taking a trip into the deep, dark, scary woods, where, of course, she met a witch. It happens every time. These witches belong to the woods like hoes belong to the streets. Anyways, the Snow Witch that she met would end up mentoring her in secret. She was very well versed in cold-based sorceries, which Ronnie would later become very skilled with. Trust me, that girl could do some things with that cold mouth of hers, born every day. Woo! Anyways, not too long after, her daddy decided to leave that creepy old child trafficking witch Ranala and marry Queen Marika, which would elevate his 3 children to the status of demigods. And even though Ronnie was said to be the successor of Queen Marika, she didn't want it. My girl was a rebel, so she went straight cat burglar status and stole the rune of death from that overgrown dog old Malekith and imbued it into the blades of Newman assassins. They were very close to Queen Marika, these assassins. She also gave a piece of the rune of death to her slimy snake of a brother Rackard. Her plan was to have the assassins kill an individual while she simultaneously killed herself, therefore freeing her from her destiny, otherwise known as the Greater Will. It was known as the Night of Black Knives. The assassins killed Godwin the Golden in spirit, while Ronnie killed herself in body and transferred her spirit into a doll. A doll. That's right, yos. How in the hell am I supposed to be married to a doll? How we doing, grandbabies? Sorry to cut into the story here, but I just thought I'd give you a nice little friendly reminder. If you're loving the story at this point, show your grandpappy some love. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, get the subscribe button, leave a comment. Tell me how much you're feeling the content. Anyways, back to the story. This would be the first death of a demigod in history. I was aware of everything going on at the time, and I had my girls back. Most people had no clue what Ronnie was plotting. They just thought she died. Me and a bunch of her followers would work to rid the lands between of the greater will, while she stayed hidden in Carrier Manor. Ranni sent me on a long quest, which started in the Kron, the Eternal City. I had to retrieve the Finger Slayer blade, which she wanted to kill the Two Fingers. I guess my 2 fingers were just good enough to make the cut, huh? Anyways, after giving her the blade, she gave me the inverted statue, which I took to retrieve the cursed mark of death from the Divine Tower in Liurnia. Headed back to the manor, I go to Renna's Rise and took a portal to Noxtella. And this is where I was like, man, what the hell did I get into with this chick? This is some craziness. So I found her spirit puppet, and she gave me orders to kill her shadow, Blide, turned evil, and sadly turned on her. Once I ran through him with the grace and elegance that only Grandpappy could bring to a fight, my next challenge was on the rise. And boy, let me tell you, this bitch wanted me to cross a sea of rot. A sea of rot. All this rot would go through every last one of my pores and, man, put me on the brink of death. But of course, I did it. Because, well, the girl was worth it. Let's just end it there. So anyways, at the end, I had to fight Estelle, this big-ass space bug who was blocking my way to my wife. But it's light work, baby. We move on. I head back to Lucaria to get the ring for my girl. And boy, was this a nice ring. It was the ring that I could imagine she was dreaming of every night since she was, well, even dreaming of having a ring. So I get the ring and I start heading on over to the Cathedral of Manicelis. I put the ring on her pretty blue finger, and she said yes. And boy, she treated me to a special night with them 4 paws, baby. And then she started tripping out about becoming one with the stars, and she wanted me to come. And I was like, man, girl, girl, you're nuts. You're crazy. I'm totally out of here, baby. Grandpappy can throw his rod back into the pond and definitely catch something with a few less screws loose, if you know what I'm saying. But, you know, all in all, it was a pretty decent marriage up to a certain point. You know, she was rich, and that was cool. She had a lot going for her. And, you know, in the divorce, I didn't lose nothing because I was a good-for-nothing bitter old drunk who didn't have shit but a heart and some good looks. And I tell you what, kiddos, I did make it out of that divorce with something pretty nice. You guessed it. I got Ronnie's Dark Moon Great Sword, baby. Man, the damage that I would do around the lands between with that thing. So I guess all in all, you could say I won in the end. Anyways, kiddos, if you like the story, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, kiddos, stay young and dumb, baby.